All right, so I was just watching your stream again. You keep bashing on Charlie Kirk. Like, I just don't understand why using Charlie Kirk to talk about. Like, you could be choosing Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens. Like, you got a lot of options. Why is Charlie your least favorite?
Because Charlie Kirk is very effective. He's really good at what he does. I believe he lies 99% of the time, but the one time he does not lie, Charlie Kirk does not lie when talking about his skill in organizing and skill on camera and his tactics. He goes on these podcasts with even Democrat politicians and he says what he does, how he does it, and Democrats refuse to replicate it. So I think Charlie Kirk is a big point for me because I see these very young people who are very impressionable being sold this version of the world that I view is wrong. And I think Charlie Kirk is the most dangerous, and he's out there like doing it. And I think it's crappy how he takes advantage of like college kids who are not media trained, and uses them for content. So I want to make sure that I have I don't know, it's good to review, good to see his tactics, and have some way to respond to it, I guess.
Okay, the only reason why he talks to the college kids is because like for example, I'm 14 years old. I'm talking to you, right? So just think how much more experience you have over me, yet we're still able to have a good conversation. So why he talks to college kids is because one, they're voters of America. They will be able to. Uh, they are the next generation, which is going to next big voter generation. So uh, yeah, and he always says bring a professor down, like do whatever you want, right? So it's not really just the college kids he's going after. Yes, he does make money from debating college kids, but at the same time, he's done a debate with Gavin Newscomb, right? And like been on Jubilee. So I don't. And another thing about Charlie Kirk is you say he's the most dangerous to you guys, which I 100% agree. He's awesome at what he does. But at the same time, we compare like Destiny. He's pretty good at debating himself. Uh, why is it that you think Republicans don't hate him as much as the liberals hate Charlie Kirk? Like, you think he's just more famous or what?
That's actually a really good question. Well, first off, on Charlie and talking to people, being a professor and being media trained are very, very, very different things. And I'll say like a difference between me and Charlie Kirk is I'm not gonna, like if you talk to me about an issue, I'm gonna make an attempt to show you how to think, not exactly what to think. Like I'll show you like where I get my information from, what data points. I'll explain very clearly like why I believe what I believe. I don't think I get nearly as hyperbolic or emotional as Charlie Kirk does. I try to keep it as fact based as possible, but Charlie Kirk is within like the MAGA ecosystem, so he needs to. And I think it's effective to do that because it's really good for crowds. And I mean, I just don't like how he runs the crowd heckling at these college students trying to, share what they're saying. It's hard to get up on a stage with a whole crowd of people that hate you, especially when you're like an 18-year-old that's walking around trying to just say something you care about. So that's a really big distinction I'd make there between like, I don't know, media training and intentions. Because if someone lies effectively, then it's like a superpower. It's an unlocked ability in a video game that is unable to be maintained. Now for Destiny, this is a really fun topic. So Destiny, I think he is effective because he is from a more conservative background and also a gamer background, so he doesn't care as much about the social justice part of the left. He cares about those issues to the extent where he's right on, or he feels that he's right on them, but he doesn't care as much about like appeasing a certain audience with it. So I think that makes him effective. But also, he's an optics nightmare, which I think is good for some people. So people that watch podcasts, people that listen to political speakers who already are not very received by the mainstream audiences, he's good for. So I think he's good, for like gaming audiences that might want someone more offensive on the left. That's great. You could hear him say the R word and all that crazy stuff, and not feel like you're being language policed by the left. But the issue is he often dresses like a 12-year-old gamer boy who's like being watched by his like babysitter. Okay, he often dresses like that in public, which is not exactly good.
Yeah.
He also does open relationships. He has a very liberal lifestyle in that sense, which is going to be very against current culture, which I don't think people online really care that much. But it's still against current culture. And yeah, he's involved in a lot of really internet stuff. Which I think that like way he's not able to be received by the mainstream is, I mean, because I saw his clips go viral, right? I saw his clips go viral because he does have really big moments, but he's not the type of personality that I would show a normal person, because it's like they'll probably turn off a normal person if he's the representative for the left. But I will say that like Hassan and all these other jokes, there's not many good personalities I could direct people to on the left, because the left is extremely political too. So I mean, the right has a lot of people like Joe Rogan who do podcasts or gaming, and they talk about politics, but the left has really unlikable people there. So I think like the biggest, you know, perks to Destiny is also his biggest downfall as well. But I think everyone has their role in media.
Yeah. Still wondering though, how come people hate Charlie so much yet don't hate Destiny? Like personally, I don't hate Destiny. I don't hate you. You're a speaker, and yet you seriously dislike Charlie. Like, is
Well,
it
like
just
Charlie
because he's
Kirk.
your biggest enemy?
Well, no, it's also because Charlie Kirk gets up there and about like the January 6th situation and the pardons there. He'll say with a straight face that everyone should be pardoned from that day, and he'll lie about the cops. He'll lie about the violence that happened. Like he won't care at all about the cops who suffered traumatic brain injuries and had their eyeballs literally poked out of the socket and lost their vision, and officers that died from suicide because of the brain injuries combined with the trauma, losing fingers. Like he will say with a straight face, all of them deserve to have a pardon because he needs to toe the party line, and that is such a dishonest statement. And he knows he's lying because he's a smart guy. He's a very smart guy. So when he talks about an issue like the January 6th pardons, I just know he's being so slimy, and that person scares me if they're able to be convincing and say something that's almost indefensible, like being pro all of the January 6th pardons. That makes someone super dangerous if they can lie that effectively.
All right. Okay, January 6th. What happened that was so significant that day that makes you bring it up even 5 years later? Because all January 6th was um, started off as a protest against the elections and what's been going on, 2020 and stuff. So they decided to have a protest. There was some violence, but out of all the people there, do you really think that we need to have all the J6ers in jail? Like, if we compare the amount of people there to the amount of people that got hurt, do you think we can say with 100% clarity that we need to put all of them in jail?
Please drop a like, comment, and subscribe for the algorithm. Also, consider supporting my channel in the description down below. Thank you. So I believe there were over 1,000 people charged. There were like 10 to 30,000 people there, so not all of them went to jail. There were cases, there was due process, which Charlie Kirk lies about that, like saying they don't have a day in court. They did have a day in court. They just opted for, I believe, a bench trial instead of a jury trial, which is, I don't know every nuance of that, but that's why some of them did not have a jury, for example. So it's the first time in U.S. history a peaceful transfer of presidential power was disrupted through violent means. Okay, and the mob storming the Capitol. Even if you think Trump did not lead them there to do that in particular, I think everyone knows he's okay with it because he's pardoned them. He wants to give them money. He says the cops are the enemy that day. So we know he's happy with the result at least. Yeah, it's really bad to have that happen and have so many officers assaulted. I think 140 officers were assaulted that day, and the complete disregard for everything that everything that happened, and lying about the election in general is one of the most un-American things I can think of. And the fact Trump still lies about it today, and he's using the government to go after people that certified the election, is really really scary for democracy. It really is. I mean, it might seem funny now. It always seems funny until bad things actually happen. But the fact Trump still lies about the 2020 election is actually how democracies end up crumbling. Because if everyone stops believing in the process, even being real with votes, not even just like the votes don't count, as far as like politicians don't do anything, saying the election is fake completely, that is what legitimizes the collapse of a democracy. So those are the really big issues, probably.
Okay, I don't even think we need to have an argument. They definitely cheated in the 2020 elections. Like they gave the left 20 million extra left voters that weren't even registered voters. These were ghosts, pretty much, that were voting for the
Okay,
2020
now a difference between
election.
me and Charlie Kirk, I'm going to ask you. So, like, for example, here's my big point here. All right, so Trump says that, MAGA people say that, but every time they were brought to a courtroom, and you could look up the cases, they froze. They brought no evidence at all. Every time they came to a courtroom where facts need to be there, they had no facts, nothing to substantiate anything. Everything has been debunked about this election. So if you believe that, this is one reason Charlie Kirk is so scary, because I know the legal processes here. I can walk you through them at a very base level. Charlie Kirk's not going to do that, because if Charlie Kirk teaches you how to think, you're going to know he's full of shit. Because if you believe that, then you are not being taught how to think. And I don't mean to be offensive towards you, but that's just like, there's no basis in reality for what you just said. I don't know where you would think 20 million voters came from, and how, in every single, and I don't know if the audience right now knows this, but in election, in polling places, or in where they tally votes, there are legal representatives from Republicans and Democrats in every single polling place in America. All right, from every single polling place, there's representatives from both parties watching the votes being counted. There's legal experts, there's nonprofits working on this. There are so many organizations happening on it, or working on it. There are billions of dollars spent on this effort, billions and billions and billions of dollars. The attention of the entire globe is spent on this. And the fact that Trump admin cannot bring up one piece of evidence in court is extremely damning for their case.
They did have evidence. I
What
agree
was
with
the
you that
evidence?
it wasn't enough. Like, I wish that they did more, but
Okay,
they
what was
did
the
have
evidence though?
some evidence. Dude, the 20 million extra vote. Okay, how many? Do you really think that the election was not stolen?
Okay, so right now, when you said like they did have evidence, and I said what is the evidence, and you said the 20 million extra votes. My question is, what is the evidence for those extra votes? Right? I'm not asking about the statement you made. I'm asking for the proof behind the statement.
Okay, all right. 2016, how many voters were registered?
Um. Okay.
It
If
was a
there's
lot. I don't know the exact number. I don't think you do either. However, whenever we compare those to the 2020 elections, there were 20 million extra voters. Now, that was before all the illegal aliens came over. So where did those people come from?
Okay, so the voter turnout in 2020 was much higher, as it usually is after things like a global pandemic and also expanded mail-in voting. Okay, those things are gonna, and also in-person registration. A bunch of things went towards the vote being higher in 2020. That's not proof of voter fraud, by the way. If more people come to vote in one election versus the other, that is not proof of voter fraud. And also, there's no evidence of illegal aliens voting in elections, especially not at a broad scale. You might find one somewhere, but if you're here illegally, or if you're here, you're undocumented, you're not going to risk your chance to live in America off of voting for one vote in a federal election. That makes no logical sense at all, and there's no evidence behind it.
Well, people did do it. Okay. What about, okay, so whenever we compare the 2020 elections to the 2024 elections, so we can agree that, like, over time, more people are going to come to a country, right? So
Sometimes.
you can fact check me on this right now. I'm not 100% sure. I think it was 15 million people voted more during the 2020 elections during the 2024. Now, why do you think that was?
I think it was actually like 5 million more. I forget the exact numbers, but it's not 15. That was the lie they
You
said
don't
right
think it's
away about the
15?
election. I could look
Huh?
up the numbers real quick. One second. I'm looking up the
Yeah,
numbers
let's
for
do it.
the overall vote count. Um, so like, there's been
So
much bigger
whatever.
fluctuations in overall turnout in American history. So like, the election of, election of like, for example, 1840 versus 1844 was a difference of 1.1 million votes versus 1.4 million votes. I think that's a bigger percent jump than this election. There have been elections where they just move. Oh yeah, the election of 1956 had 26 million voters. Plus 35 million. That's around, what's the total number here? 60. Well, these are the differences in votes. 61 million, and then it's my numbers I just said, by the way, are wrong. But the election of 1956, the numbers I just said were wrong. But 1956, it's around, let's see, adding numbers, around 61 million votes in 1956. In 1960, there were 68 million votes, because you had Kennedy versus Nixon. So it can be because of events happening in the world. It could be because of popularity of candidates. It could be because candidates are unpopular. So like that election right there, there's a huge fluctuation, and it happened that long ago. So you could just have other things other than election fraud that can be a difference in numbers.
Yeah, but I also want to come back to you at that 1840s you were telling me about.
I
At
was
the
wrong
same
about the
time,
1840s number.
how much more land do you think we got in the 1800s versus like before we got all that land? Is a lot more, and that also means a lot more people, right?
Yeah, but I'm talking about
So,
like a one election to the other, so 56 to 60. And there's other elections with bigger jumps where there's not a huge land gain for America. Here, so in the 2024 election, let's see, 2024 total votes versus 2020. All right, so in 2020, we had 158 million in 2020. We had 156 million in 2024. So a decrease of 2 million voters versus 2020.
Pretty sure we had more voters in 2020.
Yeah, we
than
had
we
more
did in
voters. It
2020.
was only 2 million more voters in 2020. It was only 2 million more, not 15 million.
All right, I'm pretty sure I was lied to then because I remember it being 15, not
Yeah,
2
I'm not gonna
million.
lie.
So
Everything you're saying right now is a product of you being lied to, which is why Charlie Kirk is so dangerous. Again, remember this, okay? That's why Charlie Kirk is dangerous. And also, if you look at the numbers, if Trump was able to win in 2024 with 156 million ballots cast, and he lost in 2020 with 158 million ballots cast, that seems like it might not be a stolen election in 2020.
okay, but at the same time, just think that if we had that many more voters in 2020 versus now, and if we won in 2020 and then we lost in 2024, like, oh, here's another point that I didn't mention. In 2016, that election, I'm pretty sure that almost everyone in our country would have voted because they all wanted to see the first Madam President, right? You remember whenever that was all
No, I mean
happening?
Trump was able to win. Hillary is not liked,
Yeah.
and also America does not like women being leaders. To be honest.
Well, it was definitely an example with Camel Toe Harris because no one liked her in during the 2020 for the polls
Okay,
for
okay,
Kamala.
I
Less
have to
than
check you real quick. I
1%
have to check
wanted
you
her
real
as
quick. So
president.
in a conversation right now, I'm trying to show you ways to think about these things so you don't look like a silly goose, okay, on your main Instagram account. I don't want you to look stupid on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook. I don't want you to grow up someday and look back when you're 14 and be like, oh, wow, when I was 14, I believed all these dumbass lies. Like, oh, wow, this 2020 election was not stolen, okay? So if you're going to call Kamala Harris Camel Toe Harris, I want you to understand, like, the culture that the right wing fosters with Charlie Kirk and all of this stuff, like you are turning into an incel. Like you're not becoming a version of anything a man should aspire to be. You're believing lies on social media. You're getting like emotional when challenged. You have to do this in a better way. Like I'm trying to construct a way for you to think so you can see the facts for yourself. I don't care if you agree with me. You could be a free market lover. You could be a free market hater. You could be pro high taxes, low taxes. All I care about is that you have the ability to interpret facts. But again, Charlie Kirk and all his goons do not want you to be able to think about facts yourself. They want you to listen to the narratives they give, the stories they tell, because if you believe their stories and never find a way to think for yourself, you will be a little puppet for them, okay? I want you to understand how to think about these things. So, like, looking at the court cases, looking at the total election tallies, looking at the different states that move for different reasons, looking at the polling for why people voted in different directions. These things take a very complicated process and a long time to understand, okay? It's not going to be as easy as calling Kamala Harris Camel Toe Harris or talking about Hillary Clinton breaking the glass ceiling or whatever. It's going to be a long process of deliberation where you truly take in how the system works and understanding all the complications of it. And I will walk you through that. But I want you to understand, I will go through that with you. Charlie Kirk is here to be a propagandist. And that's a big divide between us. And I have to go to another caller. I appreciate the call. I don't mean to try to, I'm not even trying to dunk on you. It's just like, even in my normal life, I'd hate seeing kids fall into this pattern where men are becoming these pathetic soy boy betas who just like use dumb insults all day and they show zero ability to reason with anything. And you're only 14. So I'm not being mean to you. That's more of a rant to the whole world right now and everything I deal with every day. I appreciate you engaging in these conversations, though. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, but one last thing before we go is that I'm pretty sure me and you both know that the left definitely insults a lot more than the right. Like, sure, I called Kamala Camel Toe Harris, but what more insults have I done this entire conversation?
It's just like, okay,
Exactly.
well,
All
if you
right.
want to use
Have a
the
nice
one
day, buddy.
insult, oh, he's mad. He's mad. Okay. Okay. Well, you insult more. You did it first. Okay. Little buddy. He'll grow up someday. He'll call in and be like, I'm so happy you were a father figure to me. Every single one of us is media. For us to overcome what's happening right now, we all need to push in the right direction. Whether you make your own content, if you share my content or another creator you like, thank you so much for supporting this. We all need to do our job. And I really appreciate what you have to give, whether it's financial or not. If you cannot afford to donate, do not donate. Share the video around, drop a like, comment, subscribe. You are helping more than you could ever imagine.